The Unforgiving Sea by Rosemary Baldry of Winmalee, 2777. Narrated by Janine Penfold. Digging her toes into the sand, Marina takes a deep breath and lets the calm of the sea wash over her. The salty taste on her lips is better than any fish and chips. She looks up. 5 years ago, she stood on that overhanging cliff and cast her father's ashes into the sea. Seagulls fly overhead. Their raucous squealing reminds Marina of her father's squawking lungs. Was it bronchitis or asthma? The stoic old fisherman refused all medical attention and went to his grave not knowing. Fishing boats rest in the comparative safety of the harbour, an idyllic spot for tourists who are taking photographs beside the creaking timbers of the rickety wharf. Others are picnicking on the solid sea wall. The gulls are hovering, waiting for an opportunity to catch them unawares. They swoop at the first sign of carelessly attended food and squabble amongst themselves over the pickings. Her father had been like the sea, clear and calm, then cold and cruel. He had a patient side that he reserved for fishing, hours spent waiting, watching, observing his surroundings, but she knew there was another side. The lighthouse glistens in the sun. Her mother was his firm foundation. Alone, steadfast, a bright light warning him of danger. She'd told Marina that he had come to Australia to build a better life for his family, leaving behind the cold North Sea of his beloved Scotland. The trouble was, here he couldn't get a job fishing. He settled for work at the fish markets. At first, that was good, as he had to learn new species of fish, warm water as opposed to cold water. But after a while, the longing for the rough, hard life at sea took over. He'd watch the trawlers going out day after day and became miserable, wretched. Marina climbs to the cliff top and watches the powerful sea pounding the rocks. Life's dreams came crashing down in a swirling mix of emotions, her mother had said. Marina knew firsthand the unpredictability that brought to their lives. It was like negotiating hidden rocks, wet, slippery, and very dangerous. Mum was her safe harbour, like a breakwater, offering peace and protection. Few knew how much she needed that. At school, the kids ribbed her about her bruises, the slow way she walked some days, her haunted look. She didn't blame them. Fortunately, they had no idea. After her father died, her mother urged her, "Make your peace," saying it would not do anything for her father, but would make a world of difference for you, my dear girl. She gave her husband's ashes to her daughter. "You will know what to do with these when you are ready." Marina wrapped the ashes in copious old sailors' blankets from a local charity shop and anchored them in the shed at the bottom of her garden. The irony of charity warming her father's ashes was bittersweet and poignant. Over the years, she often thought of putting the ashes out in a council clean-up, but she couldn't do that to her mum. Memories of the first time she'd clambered up this cliff came surging back. She'd been off school for 3 days, recovering, when her mother brought her here. When her father had one of his turns, Mum had always tried to guide him toward the harbour before he could grab the cane and discipline Marina. But it was hard to steer him once he'd set a course. That memorable day, her tiny mother used every shred of strength she possessed and hurled the cane into the ocean. A huge wave of relief had swept over Marina. She'd hugged her mum. They'd both wept. That night, her mother told her father, "There'll be no more canes in this house." Now, sitting on the cliff, she wonders, as she has many times before, how her mother became so wise. Finding her schoolgirl diary only confirmed what Marina knew, had known for years, that her father was in a dark, swirling sea that could not be escaped. It also made her realise that she had not moved on. She was still living in the past. That was when she'd first thought about forgiveness. She could not forget, but over the last 5 years, she'd found peace. Forgiving her father hadn't been easy, and it hadn't happened overnight. Spreading her father's ashes had given her a sense of release and control over her own life. These days, she doesn't dwell on the past. She's far too busy enjoying the present and planning the future. She smiles. Her mother was right. She needed to leave the past behind. Now she thinks, there is one more thing I need to let go. She puts her hand in her pocket and pulls out the diary. Turning to the last page, she writes, Marina, named after the sea, that unforgiving sea, has chosen to forgive. Smiling, she stands up, savouring the wind blowing through her hair. She walks to the cliff edge, looks down. Marina calmly drops the diary into the sea. The end.